Drones are flying. People are dying. Children are crying. Politicians are lying too. Cancer is killing. Texaco's spilling. The whole world's gone to hell, but how are you? I'm super! Thanks for asking. All things considered, I couldn't be better, I must say. I'm feeling super. No, nothing bugs me. Everything is super when you're... Don't you think I look cute in this hat?
It's that time of year in the world of professional football, NFL football in particular, the world of football in general. This is what we do at this time of year. We sit back and we talk about the wild card situation. And wild. It's been a wild ride to get to where we are today. We went through one of the worst years we ever had, but we're here. We've made it. It's a new year. And we're all wearing hats except for Kevin because he's not super, you see. But what we do have is we have, for some reason, the super wild card playoffs going on here Saturday and Sunday. Super wild, super. Is this like...
They're trying to tap into the kid market of Nickelodeon, guys.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. There's a lot more.
Right. I know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. As you see, I have a Browns hat on. We'll be talking about them in a little bit. We got RJ with his Steelers cap on because he's super. Don't you think he looks great in that hat? I think the hat is horrible and he should just, remove it from his head. But, hey, that's my opinion. We got Michael over here. Oh, look at that. Kevin went out and got him a super hat, too. Repping his favorite team. There we go. The Texans, I believe, is the name of that team. We'll be talking about them, I think. There's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about, but mainly we're going to be talking about these playoffs, man. There is some weird... RJ, this is bizarre to me. I'm telling you what. We have the AFC, and that division is looking... It's a what the hell happened this year?
Well, let's talk about in what regards, because everything this year is what happened.
Yeah, well, we have a team that clinched its division in the Steelers, your team you're repping, and then we have two other teams in this division that have made the playoffs in a wild card. They get a wild card here.
Which is actually not unprecedented, believe it or not. The AFC North has done it before. There's a year Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cincy all made it. Mm-hmm. This is the first time it's been this combination because it's the first time Cleveland's been relevant in 18 years, I think.
You take that back.
Nope.
You take that back. Oh, that was terrible, man. You know what? I got to agree with you on that point. I'm going to look, guys. Speaking of guys, RJ, we got some guests tonight. I forgot. I guess I should tell everybody who we're speaking with tonight, right? Right? Go around the table? Or do you want to do that? You do that. Go ahead and do that.
No, you do it.
You want me to do it? Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to look the same on the internet as it does on here. But we got Kevin Drake sitting down there with the Texans hat on in Texas there. Love those lime green. What are those, lime green or what kind of green is that?
That's neon green.
Neon green headset that he has there. That's popping, man. That's popping.
That's definitely what I call acquired taste.
Next to him.
Speaking to the guy with the Steelers hat on.
One second. I'm better now. Next to him, all the way from the frozen north of almost Canada, Bryce Burge. How you doing, Bryce?
I'm all right. Good to see you guys. It's been a bit.
Yeah, it has. It's been a bit. Hey, Happy New Year, everybody, by the way. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody out there.
2020 is over.
I don't know. We're 7 days.
Are you sure about that?
Second half of 2020.
Welcome to December 42nd.
In the year 2020.2.1. Yeah, 2020.1. And I almost forgot. Grizzly Adams up there at the top. Michael Washington Weeks. How you doing tonight?
There you go. Fluffy beard.
There you go. There you go.
I'm doing well.
It's been a long time since we've all gotten together and talked. Okay, guys. So I'm going to sit back and I'm going to guide some traffic tonight. I'm trying to pick these gentlemen. We got 4 guys here. These guys know more about football than I'm a fan. Okay, this all started because I'm a fan. The knowledge these gentlemen have far surpasses anything. So I'm going to throw questions back and forth about these playoffs and get some conversation started tonight. If you got anything you want to get off your let us know about your thoughts or whatever. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook. There's an Instagram account at AFN Talk all around the board. Look, this playoff scene is weird. I do not recall a playoff where we have 5 teams that come in. I'm including a team over in the NFC, but 5 teams that seem to have come in with an 11-5 record. That is a league division winning record most seasons. That is a you clinch your division type of a record for most seasons in some of these divisions. But the interesting thing is in the AFC, we have at the top of the heap, all the way from Kansas City, the Chiefs are coming in at a 14-2, sitting atop the mound here in the AFC. Out of the East, we've got the Bills making an appearance, and that's Buffalo's in there. Then we got the number 3 seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wish a pox upon that city. After them, we have, Tennessee Titans made good this season with an 11-5 record. Then it gets a little weird here in this wild card, super wild card that they got going on this year. We've got the Baltimore Ravens coming in with an 11-5 over the Browns, and that's only because they beat the Browns during the regular season, folks. So this is why the Browns are underneath them. Had it been a reverse scenario, things may be different. The Browns are sitting underneath them in a number 6 seed. By the way, folks, this is the first time I'm gonna just generalize in almost 2 decades that the Cleveland Browns have had a team like this. They've had a team with this ability to get them into a playoff scene. And
last time in the playoffs was 18 years ago. You did have a chance, I think, with Derek Anderson as your quarterback and lost via tiebreaker. So,
well, that's not even good for horseshoes or hand grenades, man. Tiebreakers don't win anything for either side. And then underneath them, we got the Colts making an appearance up here in the AFC North. Now, guys, what I want to know is there's a bizarre shuffle here with the teams that are playing this year. A very bizarre shuffle. And RJ and I are both big. I'm a Browns fan. He's a Steelers fan. That game happens this week. This is the 3rd time in this particular 2021 season that the Browns and the Steelers have locked horns. Michael, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this matchup in the playoffs with the Browns and the Steelers.
Well, I mean, it would have been a lot better if Kevin Stefanski hadn't tested positive for COVID-19. I mean, the bottom line is if Stefanski had coached, I think the Browns win this game.
See, okay,
I think Pittsburgh coasted in through the front half of the schedule, having a very easy schedule at the beginning of the year. And I know that I'm sure RJ's probably heard about this numerous times as a Steelers fan, but front half of the year, they didn't play a team with a winning record, I think, until week 8, 9. Or they beat the Browns, and I think the Browns had a winning record at some point when they played them. But other than that, they didn't play hardly anybody. They played the NFC East when the NFC East was really at its absolute worst, which was the front half of the year. Second half of the year, the NFC East was actually one of the better divisions, surprisingly. But if Stefanski hadn't tested positive, I think this would be a different game. But, I look for Pittsburgh probably to control this game. It'll probably be another close game, but coaching will matter in this situation.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm curious, Bryce brought up a good point. Stefanski's not there. Rather than not being there, could there have been accommodations made where he could have perhaps been up in a box or something under a quarantine and been able to coach from that perspective?
I mean, theoretically, with what you have for technology, I am kind of surprised that you don't have the ability to coach from off location and try to bring it in. But with the game clock, with connectivity issues, with the play calling responsibilities, these are all things that are going to add up over time, and it's going to make it difficult for any coach to really connect with the players or find the people that he needs. He's going to be basically, it's going to be kind of like that Peyton Manning laundry robot where you have to
Oh,
pay
yeah.
somebody just to run around so that way they can find the players that he's trying to talk to. And that kind of awareness is not going to be there. Your full sensory awareness of what's going on, being able to get the right view, focusing on something specific or a certain player is not going to be there. It is going to be difficult because you're losing that wisdom, that insight, and why you pay these guys the big bucks, and that's just not going to be there. Now, the good thing is that, I mean, there was only one way that Cleveland was going to win this game, and that is to focus on the run. So, I mean, you're not necessarily losing a ton of opportunities to break from the game plan because out of all the matchups, I felt that this one was the most cut and dry in terms of the preparation and what you got to deal with. So when I look at this even further, I really just see a team that's going to have to focus on the run defensively to make sure that there's nothing coming from the Steelers and control the clock and win old-fashioned football in a division known for old-fashioned football.
You got any thoughts on this, Kevin?
I mean, I'm going to say that I think in the first 3 years with Baker Mayfield, he's gone through 3 different head coaches. So I think it'll be on him this week without Kevin Stefanski. He's got to be the play caller. He's got to be able to control that offense, be able to call out plays, even if the offensive coordinator gives him a play that he doesn't want to run. He really has to tap into the game manager part of him. He can't just sit there and rely on his weapons. He has to rely on himself. He has to be able to control that offense to a very standpoint because that defense for the Steelers has been dropping. Like nothing against your team, RJ. It's just the last 6 weeks when you almost lose to a 4th stringer and Garrett Gilbert, and then everything goes downhill. It says something. But the Steelers, they haven't really found their identity after going 11-0. The Steelers have been on a decline. Now, granted, yes, the Browns almost lost them last week going up against the practice squad and second teamers. So this week, it's really going to show what Baker Mayfield is and whether or not you can actually win in the playoffs with him when he gets you there. Or it's just going to be another rinse and repeat scenario of Cincinnati with Andy Dalton. Get him to the playoffs, lose first round. Get him to the playoffs, lose first round. Baker Mayfield has to prove that he can win without his head coach. He has to be the franchise quarterback that they drafted or they hope they drafted. So in reality, Kevin Stefanski being a pivotal point is one thing, but Baker's been in this situation for the past 3 years without a head coach. So he's really got to tap into the game manager part of him instead of just relying on his coach and his weapons.
Is that any of that ring true with you, RJ?
Well, I definitely think the Steelers' defense wasn't doing well during parts of the season, partially because we were down to our 5th and 6th middle linebackers, so definitely didn't help anything. Robert Spillane, one of those linebackers, is coming back. We are without Joe Hayden this week, which is an issue in the secondary because COVID, quarantine, and all that stuff. It's the right thing. It's just horrible timing. Of course, horrible time for Stefanski to get, COVID. So COVID's annoying. Shocker. I know we haven't heard that all year. Anywho, for Pittsburgh, I think, if Pittsburgh can get out to a quick lead, I think that would be that's one of the key factors. There are tons of key factors, obviously. But for Pittsburgh to get out to an early lead and make Baker come from behind, because that adds even more pressure onto him without Stefanski, as previously noted. Also, Cleveland hasn't had all the week to practice in facility due to the COVID tests, and then you had to have your players you have a distraction to your players being arrested for drag racing, which was Cleveland. I know it's your first playoff appearance in 18 years, but you can't go drag racing.
Right. Oh, Lord have mercy. Thank you, RJ, for those words of wisdom.
Man, the passive aggressiveness in that voice was amazing.
So, are there any teams in the AFC that you guys see shocking the league this year? Some an underdog here, or somebody that you think might step up and do something that, such as Tennessee over Baltimore instead of the other
Oh
way
yeah,
around.
Tennessee's going to beat Baltimore. There's no doubt in my mind about it.
What do you guys think?
Now this is going to be Baltimore's revenge game
You
from
think?
Yeah.
last year.
No
Baltimore's been on a tear the past.
I mean,
few weeks.
the thing with Tennessee is Tennessee's a really good team, but the last couple weeks they've been really exposed, especially on defense. You take a look at the Texans game last week. That game they were out to a huge lead and then just let it get away from them. I know Deshaun Watson's a different type of quarterback than Lamar Jackson, and he's probably better as far as a passer is concerned and more of a pocket presence. Hey, Lamar Jackson actually improved this year as far as his overall numbers inside the pocket is concerned. But Lamar has a different X factor than Deshaun does.
Yes.
Lamar is so much more electric in the open field. He's so much more dynamic with the ball in his hands compared to Deshaun as far as a runner is concerned. Deshaun's a very good runner, but Lamar is a different level. If Tennessee can't contain Lamar like they have in the past, then it's likely not going to end well for Tennessee. And I think down the stretch here, Tennessee has played pretty poorly. That's probably going to be the game that's going to be the closest. And I think that might be the game that goes 50-50. You're going to have a lot of people picking 50 this way, 50 that way. And it could, that's probably the biggest coin flip, I think, in the AFC right now.
I'll agree with that just because the one thing you have to look at Baltimore, they made a run team. They're sole dependent on the run, really. Their receiving core doesn't really have a true number one. Marquise Brown, don't get me wrong, he has flat straight line speed, but for the most part, he can't really get open anymore. And when he does get open, it's kind of too late because Lamar's running around already. That receiving core doesn't have a true number one. They get one of those, and then that offense looks different all the way around. Their defense is good, don't get me wrong, but Derrick Henry is always going to be a problem. Now, the one thing with last year compared to now is that Ryan Tannehill is actually throwing the ball. Because you got to think about it, last year in the playoffs, what was it, 29 combined attempts in the 3 playoff games, even though they beat the Ravens and the Patriots. But Ryan Tannehill has grown into his own. He is a better passer this year with that team. They're not sole dependent on Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry is still a monster. So when it comes down to it, I agree with Michael. This is a 50-50. Either team can win it, but I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens just due to the fact that ever since he came out of the toilet and Trace McSorley went down, he's been a different quarterback the past 5 weeks. He has been on a tear, and he actually looks like his MVP self from last season. So I give the edge to the Ravens, and this is their revenge game.
Is there any spoilers in this one for you, Bryce?
Yeah, I mean Tennessee's going to win this game, and it's not going to be close. I don't think that this is a heads-up game, mostly because the heads-up game happened earlier this season when Tennessee won in Baltimore in overtime. It was a 30-24 game, and Derrick Henry showed that he can take over a game and lean forward. Baltimore, for as good as their defense is, they do not have the ability or the physicality to line up against a bruiser-style running back like Henry does. I mean, they've had problems with other styles of bruisers so far this year. And now, just as Kevin said, as they've gone more towards a running offense, getting 400 yards in the last game on the ground, they're going to go in and try to smash mouth against a team that has an underrated front seven and is going to be able to force a lot of third down and middle distances. And that's going to catch up after time when you play the field position game, which is an amazing situation right now for Coach Vrabel and everything going on in Tennessee. Most of the games that the Titans have won this year have gone with games that have had the field flipped multiple times with their punting and with their game planning. So I think this is a situation where some good old-fashioned football, once again, saves the day. And right whenever you think that Baltimore is going to get something going, either Derrick Henry is going to get something big, or their punter is going to get something big, or Tannehill is going to be able to roll out and get a 15-yard scramble to move the chains and continue to wear down a Ravens team that I don't think's got the mental stability right now or the maturity to kind of win that style of playoff game.
I mean, my thing is, I just don't trust Lamar Jackson as a quarterback in general. I think what you said is true that he is a dynamic player, but I think overly so. I think Lamar, instead of checking down his progressions, is always tempted to run first. That's his first reaction, and therefore, like you said, Kevin, when Hollywood Brown does get open, Lamar's already running. There's a big game wasted. And as much as oh my god, as much as Justin Tucker is an amazing kicker, it's nearly impossible to win a playoff game on field goals. Like Bryce said earlier, Derrick Henry having one of the best rushing seasons in NFL history, and still hot. They beat him in Baltimore. Like for all the credit that we give Lamar Jackson, in general, I think more of it needs to go to Harbaugh for building a team around the skill set that he has. Because if you put Lamar in a different system, I think he would look like complete garbage.
My my only issue for edging the Ravens here is the amount of work Derrick Henry has had. Because when you have that much work, despite how big Derrick Henry is, and you have a big body like that has a lot of contact, he looks for it over the course of the season, especially when you start talking about playoff football, which is completely different than regular season football. The hits are different, the game is different, the intensity is different. That's the only edge. I'm concerned if Derrick Henry is contained, and when I say contained, I mean, what is it, like 98 yards, 100 yards, just not his 200-yard performance. If he's contained enough, I think Baltimore has enough on offense to be able to squeak out a victory against Tennessee. I'm not talking like a 27-14 victory here. I'm not talking 29-10. I'm literally talking like the matter of 1 or 2 points difference here. I
But
just
the
think that
thing is
Baltimore wants it.
you got really close with that. I mean, 100 yards is the magic number for Tennessee. If Henry has triple digits in the ground game, doesn't matter how many touchdowns he has, but if he has triple digits in the run game for rushing yards, they win. And that's actually their record. That if you
Right.
look at it, that's where the Tennessee Titans are divided. So I mean, there's no question with this. It really comes down in this case is how do you move the change when something goes wrong, and how do you break things up? I mean, you can't just put 8 people in the box the entire time and say let's go.
Not with AJ
We
Brown.
talked about that
Not
game.
at all.
That's the Pittsburgh Cleveland one, but I have a lot more faith in Tannehill and the passing game and the wide
Understandable.
receiving core than I do the Ravens side. And Lamar Jackson is an improved passer, but he is
So-
not to the point where he is able to make up for what Tennessee did. I thought that the Colts, I thought Cleveland, I thought Pittsburgh were more favorable matchups for Baltimore, but I really thought that Tennessee and Buffalo were the two teams that were going to have the Ravens' numbers depending on the seeding, and that's what ended up happening this time. I think it's just bad luck of the draw for the Ravens.
And I'll say this to finish it out. The Ravens and the Steelers, the reason I say the Steelers is because Juju has a tendency to be contained for the most part. The Ravens and Steelers in this playoff race, with all the teams, even the Washington football team, has a number one receiver and that they can go to. Tennessee kind of has two, because if AJ goes down, you still got Corey Davis on the other side. And when he is productive, that's a 1-2 combo hit that you really can't contain. And that's what we really have to look at, because if you can contain Derrick Henry and keep him to 80, 90 yards, like Michael says, then they have to rely on Ryan Tannehill. And if he can roll out or stay in the pocket and get the ball to Corey Davis or A.J. Brown, then that Ravens defense has to actually work a lot more, because you got to contain that and the passing game. And the one thing that the Ravens have going for them, even though they are a run-heavy team, they have Mark Ingram, and J.K. Dobbins has been coming into his own as a running back in this league. And I think he's going to be a crucial part of that game plan coming into this game. And that's why I feel like that's why I give the edge, because we talk about Derrick Henry, but that running game, not just Lamar, but the rushing attack for the Ravens is going to be something to look at. And I feel like Marquise and Miles Borkin and even Des Bryant are going to be able to get open and give Lamar time to sit in the pocket and throw. Stop it. I don't stop it. No, I know what you're gonna say about this. Stop it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens have a disadvantage in wide receivers. But at the same time, the rushing attacks, even like I trust James Conner a little bit. I feel like James Conner can still
When
be
he's
good,
not
just like
hurt, yeah.
exactly. The
He's made a
rushing
force.
attacks are what really going to help those teams,
You know,
including Tennessee.
this
That's
I
the
will
only
say
reason I give it to her.
I will say one more thing though is the X factor for this game. If Baltimore wants to win,
Hmm?
is Mark Andrews needs to have a big game.
That too.
There you
He's
go.
the X
I was
factor.
gonna say I was gonna say turnovers. Like I know it's cliche, but
Well,
like
let's see who's got the X factor here. This seems to be a highly talked about game here. So let's go around the board real quick. RJ, Tennessee,
Tennessee, no doubt in my mind about it.
Michael,
Baltimore by a smidge.
a smidge. Bryce, let's see what Bryce got to say.
Titans by 10.
Oof, he's making a call. And Kevin Drake.
I'm going to say we get another overtime match, but this time Baltimore will prevail.
Oof. Okay, evenly squared here. And here's something about prevailing and number one. We all know that, well, the NFL basically is on just about every damn channel you could ever think of, including their own NFL network. As long as they get paid, they'll whore themselves out. So CBS, Fox, NBC all have games on Saturday this year. We've got the Colts at the Bills, and the Buccaneers at Washington, and the Rams with the Seahawks. CBS, Fox, and NBC. Then we come to Sunday. Sunday, you can catch the Ravens and the Titans on ABC and ESPN. And that makes absolute sense because of the same company. Then we
Yep.
go down here at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. And on CBS, go ahead, RJ. Tell them the one you love the
On
most.
Amazon Prime and Nickelodeon. Oh my God, NFL! I know you're not good at attracting new fans sometimes, but man, this is desperate. As a kid who watched a ton of Nickelodeon growing up, like the shows were like at best, and it's only gone downhill now. So you're going on a network that's kind of dying. The only football we ever want to see on Nickelodeon is when SpongeBob was singing at the Bubble Bowl in front of fans from the USFL's Liberty Bowl. Fun fact there. That's the only time I ever want to see that. Also, instead of a Gatorade dunk, we're gonna do a slime bucket dunk because we're Nickelodeon and we're cool like that. Like, doing.
But no, I'm sorry. The halftime show better be SpongeBob, or I'm not going to want it. I'm going to turn it off, and I'm not watching the second half. I don't care.
We do all understand that CBS owns Nickelodeon, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Trust me, when I jumped on
See-
CBS All Access and I found all the old shows I used to watch as a kid, I got happy.
So this is a completely different concept than I think a lot of people are realizing. But when you have the availability to use Nickelodeon instead of CBS Sports Network, because CBS Sports Network is not as available as Nickelodeon is
From that
on
point of view,
cable
yeah.
providers, that is a huge aspect. Now, this is going to be a more kid-friendly broadcast or simulcast, but with the major aspects of things like Twitch and Amazon Prime and streaming capabilities that are going on, we have that available only on Prime Game with the Cardinals near the end of the season too.
And I hate
things are
that.
changing around.
This
I don't have as big of a problem as this is, and honestly, I didn't hear anything you said, RJ, besides "get off my lawn." Like,
I find it more
I know
comical
you're
than
the youngest
anything.
So-
one out of us here in this grouping, but at some point you're going to have to look at this and say, "Hey, Nate Burleson, who's got as much swag as Cam Newton's wardrobe, is going to be calling this game."
That's not a
We
compliment.
saw-
though. Like that's not
We
a
saw
compliment.
so many great things with Pat McAfee calling games. This is a chance for CBS Viacom to experiment in a way where there is such a low bar standard that this is the only chance that anybody's going to have now with the broadcast experimentation that the XFL brought to the table, and they're going to be able to rock this thing no matter how bad it is,
Yep.
because this is 2020 level bar, and literally you can fall over it
And
and still
Yeah.
have a passing grade.
yeah, and here's
So
the
they're
thing.
gonna go. It's going to be great, and
Here's-
I'm excited.
here's the
for
thing.
possibilities. Even
The-
if there's going to be a terrible font for whatever score bug package. we
Oh,
know that's
God.
coming around.
Do
don't wanna
do,
picture
do you
that.
guys think that they will go with and by kid friendly I'm going to say perhaps we get a SpongeBob halftime show like Kevin said, a pre a special halftime show for Nickelodeon that's SpongeBob?
Oh, definitely. I think we
Or
need official.
do we
Well,
get
some special stuff here
characters
and there.
throughout the night? Do we get characters? Do we see some sort of
Well, like I said,
cartoonizing
the
of the
bars.
product to bring in the kids and give them something different? I mean, I could see them having like Doug Funny over on the sideline interviewing someone in a pre-tape.
Well, and see, I can actually pertain to that because one thing, and this is going to be a different company, but Disney Channel, back in the early 2000s, they had what they called Disney Channel games.
Well,
And
Disney
they
don't
kind of did
matter.
the same thing. They had two of their like actual actors like calling the games and being the hosts,
No.
but then they would throw it to some of their cartoon characters, and it would be like Kim Possible and stuff like that, and they would give you a rundown too. And the voice actors would actually come in, sit down, record these lines, and act like they were hosting it for the kids. So maybe we could see something like that with Nickelodeon.
Okay, so my question now is who? So we got like the real life people, but who would you want the characters reporting the game to be?
Well, Doug Funny for the sideline interviewer, of course. Of course.
I don't think they're actually going.
Oh, I don't
that
think they're
route.
going
And
to. I don't think
Oh,
they're
no.
going
two,
to. But
it's
like,
But it's
this
an
is just for
interesting
fun.
concept.
From Legends of the Hidden Temple. I mean, if there's anybody that explains rules, it's Olmec Kirk Fogg
Olmec.
and
Dude, I would love for
Michael
Olmec.
Hey, a
Knight.
one-off.
You got to go
Legends
get the
Night one-off.
old-fashioned-
Yeah.
Old school.
And then, like at the end of it, someone puts a silver snake jersey on. I don't care what anyone says. My favorite team.
Yeah,
The-
because
the
Blue
thing
Bear
is,
could have
is Nick-
sucked more than Pittsburgh Steelers, but
Yeah.
this process, I think
Yes.
people are really overdoing it on like the kid friendly per se. I think it's going to be more of like what happens with the XFL. I'm going to use the XFL example, or whenever we see the Grey Cup on ESPN kind of thing. There's going to be extra packages that explain the rules. There's going to be some more kid-friendly animation styles. I think you're going to see kind of back in the 90s with the Fox football robot and that
Oh,
kind
God.
of like,
Yes.
fun and jovial aspects of it. And I think, like you could see like different colors involved that will be more for sensory
Oh,
awareness,
wait.
but these aren't necessarily things that are going to impact the game. The players on the field won't have the foggiest idea of what's going on. And even then, the actors or the people that are going to be doing sideline reporting still have the understanding of what they're doing. I mean, so many great entertainers have done sideline reporting. I know I've done sideline reporting in my opportunities at the D1 level. So and you see people transition to sideline reporting easier than any other role. So
And
like,
that's the thing, because here's a chance for one of the voice talents to come on and actually present a product on the field as
I
sideline
have a
talent.
funny idea.
Oh,
So
boy.
they're only going to have like 7,000 people in the stands, right? Or they're going to have anybody in the stands for these games.
This is going
On
to not
Nickelodeon,
go.
what if they
This
just
won't
put
end
like
well.
if they put the bikini bottom people in the
Yeah,
stands?
this will not.
And
This
so on
will
the sidelines, like you have a reporter from like Bikini Bottom talking to some of the fans in the stadium.
Perch
Like-
I don't think
Perkins.
that's
Yes, Perch
appropriate
Perkins
given
does.
that they're playing in New Orleans.
Michael.
Oh,
I'm curious,
yeah.
Michael.
Because one, they're in New Orleans, and two, I thought Denver realized that if you put cartoon characters in the stands, then you were just going to lose a lot.
Well,
Listen, that's
I'm
South Park.
curious.
That's different.
Michael, I'm kind of curious
Actually
here
owned
because.
by Viacom.
Oh, that's true.
All right, Michael. Looking at the final game on Sunday night, we got the Browns at the Steelers. This is going to be one of the most highly contested games of the playoffs. I think this is going to be hard hitting. I think that these two teams are out to prove something to each other and to a division and to a league, especially the Cleveland Browns. And even though they've been hit with a snafu of having our coach is on the sideline because he tested positive for the plague of 2020, we'll call it that, so we don't get censored here on Facebook Live for saying
Or
something
the
else.
virus.
Yeah. So we have this, but we also have these games on Sunday are being on. What do we got? 5, 6, 7 different channels here. Is this?
Yep.
I know for the brands like NBC on Sunday night, this is going to be a big deal. They're going to go all out. This is huge for them. It's I'm sure that I actually think Nickelodeon's going to do a NFL program, and I think they might tailor the graphics and stuff to be a little bit more kid friendly or channel friendly, if you will. But other than that, I think you're just going to get a straight feed. I don't think you're going to get anything different than some packages and stuff. It would be kind of nice to see them do something at halftime for the kids. That would be kind of interesting, and they may go that route on that channel for that reason. Uh, but any other thing, I don't think is going to happen. Now we're looking here at all these channels. Is this going to be? I don't know. Is this going to be in the long run a watering down of the product because you're going to get these
No,
channels
it's
wanting
not
a
watering down
game
the
and they're not
product
going
in
to
the
get one?
slightest.
You know,
I'm,
what if
I'm
Telemundo or Peacock wants a exclusive game once a week just for the Peacock system with NBC?
We're
The,
not at that point yet, though. If Peacock was the like, this isn't like what we saw with the Amazon Prime game because it's not the only option. Literally, Peacock is the streaming box owned by NBC. It's just an extension of NBC. So is Telemundo. So like, this isn't alarming or like watering down the product by any means. In a lot of ways, it's giving people who wouldn't normally think about watching it a chance to watch it because a lot of people who are watching streaming boxes may not be sports fans and they see that like, you know what? I binge watched all my other shows during quarantine so far. I guess why not?
okay. I just think sometimes stuff can lead into. I mean, the Nick game makes sense to me if they did it with the kids once a week or something like that, or did a highlight show over there for to test the waters.
Well, and
Amazon Prime is just.
because
I don't know.
Disney XD, and I'm saying Disney because they actually had a show called, I think it was called like NFL Rush,
Mm-hmm.
Power of the Guardians or something like that. It was
Oh yeah,
it was like a 15-30 minute like show, and it literally had kids going around to each and every stadium or city in the NFL, and it would tailor to kids. They would like have to fight evil or whatever, and they'd have like a superstar from one of the teams come onto the show animated and help them out every now and then. And it was something that kind of like, don't get me wrong, it didn't last. It was canceled after like season 3, I think. But it got ratings. Like it shows that that there is an audience with kids because we see it all around. We have little league football and everything like that. You have fans. So the Nickelodeon aspect of it actually makes sense because now you have some of these kids' favorite cartoon characters that could potentially be put on screen for them while watching football. It kind of like the parents will sit there and be like, all right, we don't have to mess with these kids for an hour and a half. We can just sit here and watch football and they're going to watch it too. It's perfectly fine. It's one of those things where it's kind of like you put it on Nickelodeon, you're going to have these characters show up in some way, shape, or form as a commercial or just like announced by the commentators. So it kind of like helps out. It helps out. You got the parents and the kids watching. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the ratings for it will actually be pretty decent, even if like not many people watch it. But at the same time, there is something there to be like owned. Like what I can't come up with.
I agree. Just not sure what it is yet, and we'll have to.
But
You know what?
It's there.
It's something new. It's something we haven't seen before, and I'm positive that Nickelodeon's going to see a lot of adults flip over to see if what's different, why it's like it is. It's going to happen, and there's not much we can do about it. So, what we can do something though is to discuss what's going on here in the NFC. Green Bay, who, by the way, folks, I don't know how to spell Green Bay. It is one
No,
word.
you don't. You spelled it as one word.
It's one word.
Are we
Green
not
Bay.
touching on Indian Buffalo? Are
Well,
we skipping over Indian Buffalo?
no, we don't need any range wars here tonight. We got a little bit of time, and we're gonna move into this. And
I mean, we should still give the picks though.
let me hold on. Let me think about this.
Yeah, we didn't get our picks for the Browns Steelers either.
Yeah, so like you're jumping from conference to conference here. Hold your horses.
Don't get me wrong. I feel like the Tennessee Baltimore game is probably going to be the one that stands out because
Well, yeah.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Cleveland are a divisional game, so that's gonna be close either way.
All right, wait a minute. No, well, hold on a second. We got Buffalo, we got Kansas City here in the AFC going out and playing. And,
No, it's Buffalo and Indianapolis. Kansas City has the first round bye.
or Indy, okay.
Yeah, because the 17 format, the only number 1 seed is the bye.
Isn't this great? Look, we got a Wild West scenario. We got the Colts against the Buffaloes. This played out before in the history of humanity. This is one of those interesting situations, if you ask me.
How is it interesting? Because I'm just gonna say, it's if there's like, I don't trust Philip Rivers. I never will. He's a choke artist. He can't win a big game for his life.
And that's why I feel like Jonathan Taylor's going to be the X factor in this game. That's the only way Indianapolis has a chance of winning. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Devin Singletary, that offense is going crazy.
It doesn't even matter about the Bills' offense. Philip Rivers just has this amazing ability to shoot himself in the foot. It's really impressive.
Michael?
I think Indianapolis actually matches up pretty well with Buffalo. I think Buffalo was probably the one team that Indy has a very good matchup with. It just comes down to where's Philip Rivers and his arm more than anything, because Indianapolis had the number one ranked defense this year. Their offense has been kind of coming on here towards the end. Jonathan Taylor starting to come into his own. T.Y. Hilton finally decided to make an appearance and realized there was a football season happening.
That too.
Josh Allen absolutely should belong in the MVP race. By the way, I know people I know people aren't talking about him, but he absolutely needs to have his name thrown into that hat.
He's one Hail Murray away from being considered unanimous with Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion.
Well, Buffalo, he has no turnovers in the red zone. Career high percentage of 73% completion inside the red zone. He's accounted for almost double digit. Actually, it's been over double digit touchdowns and no turnovers at all inside the 20. He's the X factor when it comes to what Buffalo does. Buffalo's lack of a run game concerns me. Stephon Diggs absolutely is on a tear, but Buffalo's lack of a run game, as far as a stable run game, is what concerns me against Indianapolis, because Indianapolis can make you one-dimensional.
Yes.
And if they make you one-dimensional, they could win the game. Now, with that being said, I think Buffalo will win this game, but I think it's a better matchup than people are giving it on paper because of Indianapolis' defense and Buffalo's lack of a run game. So don't rule out Indianapolis. I know you don't trust Philip Rivers. I know you just got done saying it, but I think this game's going to be a lot closer, and I don't think it's a good matchup for Buffalo.
So you're going to go with Indy?
No, I'm going with Buffalo.
You're going with Buffalo, but you don't think it's a good
I'm going
matchup.
with Buffalo, but I think it's a lot closer than what people are giving it credit for.
Kevin?
Buffalo. It's not that I don't trust Philip. I think he can do it. He really can. He's going to get out of that shadow of being with the Chargers. But at the same time, if Josh Allen goes crazy and Devin Singletary is able to get 80 or 90 yards, maybe even just 70, they can control time possession. Stephon Diggs can do his thing. Josh Allen can run a little bit, get it out there. Then they'll be able to control it. But like Mike said, if that Indianapolis defense with Darius Leonard makes them one-dimensional, then it's on Philip. And I have more trust in him than RJ, but I still feel like Buffalo
I think
will edge
almost
this out.
anybody does.
Bryce, your thoughts. Who's going to win this game?
The big one that I look at is that offensive line for the Indianapolis Colts. They've made that rushing attack what it is. I mean, Nakeem Hines has been amazing in terms of a check down option that has bailed out the Colts way too many times when Philip Rivers has gotten them into trouble or when T.Y. Hilton just decided not to show up for the first half of the season. But Anthony Costanzo is out for the year. They had to get Jared Veldheer as an injury replacement special, and Veldheer is an amazing pickup, the best that you can get at this time of year. But when I look at what made Philip Rivers different this year compared to his last 3 seasons with the Chargers, it was time in the pocket. And I don't know if when they get down to the red zone that the Colts will be able to provide the necessary amount of protection to give him time to, one, not throw interceptions, which was a terrible thing for him earlier on this year. He had more interceptions in the red zone than he did the rest of the field because he was having problems with that protection. And that worked itself out with the emergence of Jonathan Taylor. But the Colts just don't have the red zone efficiency that the Buffalo Bills do. And Michael's straight on. The red zone possession and the points out of the red zone will be the difference in this game. You're going to see a lot of touchdowns to a lot of field goals, and that's going to run up the score. It's going to be a lot worse on the scoreboard than what it is on the field,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to be one that's going to eventually tip towards Buffalo.
Okay. RJ,
Buffalo.
without a thought. Oh, looky there. All right. Now onto the game everybody wants to get to. RJ, is it safe to say that you're going to pick the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Cleveland Browns in the
How did
20?
you figure that out?
I don't know. I don't know. There was a sign above your head that said idiot. I don't know. I don't know. Michael, Pittsburgh, Cleveland.
I hope Cleveland wins, and Stefanski's a smart coach, so he'll probably have his special teams, coordinator ready to coach the game. It's just that on the fly decision making is going to be lacking on the field, and I don't know if the special teams coach is
Do you turn a
as
little bit of
good
this?
as Stefanski at that point.
Mhm.
I hope Cleveland, but I'm going to go Pittsburgh, unfortunately.
Do you think you turn a little bit of this over to the cornerback or quarterback?
Well, I think Baker's going to have bigger responsibilities, but I don't think it's going to be any more responsibilities than he's already had. And I'm sure that Stefanski will be in contact with people at the game, but it's just going to be those quick on the field decisions that you need to make on the fly. Stefanski's proven that he can do that, whereas I don't really know much about the special teams coordinator. And he might prove me completely wrong. And like Bryce said earlier, it could come down to a simple game plan that's just executed better by Cleveland for Cleveland to edge out. I hope Cleveland. I would just feel better if Stefanski was on the sidelines. That's all.
All right, Bryce, your thoughts.
I think it's all going to be coming down to time of possession. Pittsburgh has relied on making ridiculous comebacks. I mean, it took a monumental collapse by the Colts to beat Indianapolis. It took a monumental collapse by multiple teams for Pittsburgh to win that division this year. Just because Pittsburgh used its age and its maturity to be clutch. And one thing that can really disrupt that is a low amount of time of possession on the offensive side of the ball in the first half and that style. So they're going to have to move in further and make sure that he is that Big Ben can't get comfortable. Even in just don't think that Cleveland's defense is going to be able to do that for him.
RJ.
I'll take Pittsburgh.
I mean,
So
obviously I'm going Pittsburgh, but honestly, I think it's gonna you guys are talking about Baker. The only way Cleveland has a chance is if Baker plays a mistake-free game, and I don't know how likely that is to happen. It's not impossible, but at the same time, I'm not giving Mayfield the best odds. I don't see him as a mature quarterback.
Kevin.
I'm going to be the wild card here, and I'm going to take Cleveland. I believe that last week with Baker not having the best performance of his season this year, I think he's going to bounce back, and I think that he'll be able to control the game more. I feel like he's going to take it upon himself to help his coach out by being able to make calls at the line of scrimmage, even after getting a play call from the special teams coordinator.
Okay.
I feel like he's going to bounce back and he's going to have fun. But I'm going to take this like I've heard recently that this is their first time in the playoffs. Like a lot of other quarterbacks and teams in the playoffs this year have something they have to fight for, or they have players that could be leaving. I think Cleveland has a chance to be able to play freely and be able to have fun. And they win or lose this game, they'll come back next year hotter. But I feel like Baker will be able to control it, and I think he'll be able to make the win for his team. So I'm going to go with Cleveland.
Yeah, and I'm going with Cleveland here, and I'm going to tell you why. You have a team that has an opportunity to do something that one, as a lifelong fan of this team, they made me extremely proud. I'm going to tell you folks a story here. I'm driving in my car and I'm delivering people's orders through DoorDash, and I'm listening to a game on the radio. And with 50-some seconds left in the game, Baker Mayfield took a knee on a hard-fought game. It wasn't a pretty game, but it was a hard-fought game. And when he took that knee, we beat the Pittsburgh Steelers to really solidify the fact that we are a damn good football team. No matter what, this team has went through a lot of adversity. There's been a lot of key players knocked out by the virus, injuries, things like that, and they still managed to walk away with an 11-5 record. And where I live at, 11-5 ain't good enough for people. It's not good enough. It's good enough for me. It got them in the playoffs, and that's what I cared about. I'm proud of the Cleveland Browns. I'm proud as a fan, and as a fan of the Cleveland Browns, but more so for the NFL. I'm proud to see teams like the Browns, and we've got the Rams and the Bears, and teams that have been down for a bit making something of themselves this year for some reason. None of these teams have ever hit rock bottom. Not as bad as the Browns have. 16-0, folks. Remember that year? 16-0.
0 and
Or
16.
well, yeah. No, we went 16-0. We were winners. We lost 16 games. 16-0. We were perfect. We were absolutely perfect. Dude, that was the year that at the end of the season, I'm praying they don't win. Do not win this game. Go 0-16 this year. Set a precedent. Only two other teams have ever done that, right? Lost every game in a season. That's impressive. And now, as many years later, boom, we're up here in the playoffs. And people in Cleveland should feel proud about it. The NFL should feel good that you have teams like Cleveland still around instead of moving them out of town and usurping Cleveland. I didn't want to come right out and say it and feel like there was any venom or vengeance there, even though I do think that this team in Pittsburgh should meet at the stadium, and while all their fans, I want a packed stadium. Packed.
Yeah, that ain't happening, Chief. We got about maybe 2,000 people max.
No, we can wait. We can wait. This can go. This can be down the road here. I'm willing to wait for this dream to come true. Pack that stadium. The Ravens on one side. You got the Steelers on the other side, and outside the arena, waiting on their shot because for some reason they have to play here too. It's a doubleheader. Pittsburgh's going out twice tonight. The Denver Broncos, and then while they're all there and all their fans are there, just drop a couple nuclear bombs right there. I beg you, Russia. That would be perfect.
I think nuclear warfare may be a step too far.
Well,
Damn.
it would take out the entire team and their massive fan bases. That's
sound
what
like America when Japan nuked Harbor.
They didn't nuke
If,
Harbor.
if you really
Harbor?
want to hate on Pittsburgh that much, just go get the Dark Knight Rises and just put that on loop.
Well, I thought about hiring somebody to perform like a thing and bring Satan up into Pittsburgh or something like that. That might be fun. Anything that would, yeah. Could you see Pittsburgh, one of the first cities to ever be overrun by zombies, still going on for the last 50 years? Did you get that one, RJ? Did that make any sense to you?
Sorry, I'm hearing Cleveland bias, Cleveland bias, Cleveland bias. Wazoo.
I admit that my team sucks. I admit that. You know what? It's kind of like looking over here at an 8-8 team and a 7-9 team in the NFC in the playoffs this year, which is kind of bizarre. Look at all these records here, and then we got a 7-9. Okay, and that 7-9. Although let me say something. Let me say something about this 7-9 team. Please do not change your name in any way, shape, or form. That W is perfect. The Washington football team, it's perfect. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Michael clearly objects to this on every level.
Well, that's fine, but I really think it's. I've gotten used to it. I've gotten used to it. It's like, yeah, I like that. The Washington football. Anyway, coming in at number 4 with a 7-9 record. How the hell did they manage that, Michael? Because this is Michael's team.
What fucking team?
Pop quiz. The last 2 7-9 teams to make the playoffs. What did they do?
They won.
They won.
Beast
Thank you.
mode earthquake.
Yeah.
game.
Wow.
And
Talk about bias.
And let's also talk about something though too. Bruce Arians brought up a good point the other day. They're not a 7-9 team. They're actually a 5-1 team. He said 4-1, but they're actually a 5-1 team with Alex Smith as a starter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
So
how
right there.
doesn't frequent strip clubs during a pandemic.
So let's just talk about that for a second because this team is a completely different team with Alex Smith. Now, with that being said, do I think Washington has enough? I think we're a young team. I think our defense is absolutely fantastic. It's just a matter of can we get pressure on Brady? That is always the biggest thing. We have arguably the best defensive line in football. Arguably, you could probably throw it up there with San Francisco's. If Chase Young can wreak havoc the way that Chase Young has been known to wreak havoc all year, there is a chance that Washington could actually upset Tampa Bay. I'm going to say it. I didn't think they had a chance. On my podcast this past week, I went off about how I don't think it's going to be close. But the more that I'm thinking about it, the more I'm diving into it, and the more that I'm looking at it, the more I honestly think Washington actually has a chance to upset Tampa Bay and Tom Brady.
I think this is going to be the spoiler in the this leg of the playoffs here.
I still pick Tampa Bay.
Still Tampa Bay. Bryce, I'm
It's just because of Tom Brady.
okay.
Washington is just not quite there yet. I think that they have a legit opportunity and chance to do it. It's just the Tom Brady factor. I don't know if we'll have a good enough game plan to slow him down.
You know, you said the Tom Brady factor. Bryce, do you think that Tom Brady's out to prove something, that it wasn't all the criticism that he's received over the years about his role
Well, I
with
think the biggest criticism right now for Tom Brady is that his last throw in the playoffs was a pick six. I mean, he's got a lot to prove to himself, and I mean, as pundits, we could go and say whatever when it comes down to the legacy of Tom Brady, but the number one thing that you got to look at is that this is kind of like what would happen if one of the big three teams came into a regular NBA game. I mean, it's a bunch of old timers that are coming out of literally retirement in some cases.
Well, it is Florida.
Play for Tampa Bay. But you're going up against a lot of youth. I mean, Gibson's young. You've got McLaurin, who's young. I mean, Alex Smith is really the only person on that roster that I can think of that's got a lot of
mileage.
Stability. Well, even then, there's not
Literally, he went
one
from
on
West Coast to East
Washington
Coast.
right now that has that ability to say they've been to a playoff game before. This is a unique mental exercise, I would say, going into things because
Are
there's
you
so
a
many.
therapist or something? Unique mental exercise?
He's not
Yeah,
wrong
you
though.
should
Sports
have-
Listen, I
psychology,
feel like Bryce
absolutely.
could be.
Yeah,
RJ.
absolutely.
All right, so first off, you got the age factor. Tampa Bay is so much older across the board, so much more postseason experience. That's the second thing coming from the roster on Tampa Bay's side. The third side of it too is the winning record versus a losing record, and the way that that's kind of balanced itself out in this pretense, which means that actually the losing team has the edge. And then the other factor that I think is the big one really kind of comes down to coaching. I mean, with what Bruce Arians has brought to the table as a first round specialist in the playoffs and then getting to the second round and doing a lot. I mean, think of all those great games he coached for the Arizona Cardinals going up. I mean, the Arizona Cardinal playoff games, two of them against Green Bay made it into the NFL top 10 for postseason games of the 2010s. That's crazy just in that alone. So when I look at what Tampa Bay brings to the table, it's literally do they have enough gas in the tank to make it throughout this game compared to the hard-nosed defensive line in Washington, compared to the rushing attack and what they can do moving forward. And it's just a really interesting way to look at this when you think about we actually get to say like all these buzzwords are finally coming to fruition in this matchup.
Also, how can you root against Alex Smith and Ron Rivera?
Honestly,
Like literally,
hard.
like you
It's
just
hard.
it's so hard to root
Yeah.
against them.
Yeah, one beat cancer, one, it's like playing football after they thought they might have to amputate his leg or even die.
Almost lost his life.
all right.
Yeah. I mean, just minor setbacks.
So you still gonna sit there with Tampa then, Michael? Or
Yeah, I mean, Bryce brought up a lot of good points, and again, it's a 5-1 team with Alex Smith as a starter. You know, they have the better record heading into the playoffs. They have the most momentum heading into the playoffs. The youth factor is a key denominator in this game. Now, if Brady comes out and plays like a 43-year-old quarterback and looks like a 43-year-old quarterback and everything that a 43-year-old quarterback is supposed to look like, then Washington has a chance. And I think the defense can make him do that. But at the same time, it's still, will they make him do that? And that's the biggest question, because it's still Tom Brady at the end of the day with postseason experience. And even if Bruce Arians or the other players that on Tampa Bay that hasn't made playoff games before get a chance to go in here and they say, okay, well, we're unexperienced here, here, and here, you have Tom Brady who makes up for all of that. This is the first time Tom Brady has ever gone into the playoffs as a wild card. He's always been
I'm
a
gonna
division
go
winner.
out on a.
Well, let's get on here.
I'm gonna say. Okay.
Go ahead,
I'm
RJ.
gonna say Washington. Washington wins this football game. I think that's gonna be it. And the big thing about Tampa Bay that Mike Evans is hurt. That
Yeah.
is a huge loss.
He practiced
mean,
today.
He practiced today, but at the same time, it's
Still
still. I
coming
feel like
off
it's still
it.
gonna be a game time decision for him.
Yeah, and if you not have Mike Evans, that completely throws things off because Tom Brady wasn't looking phenomenal with just Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They brought in Antonio Brown. He started heating up then. If you're that one of those three guys, I feel like Brady's going to revert to early season form in the sense of, oh, I don't have that third target that really helped me out. And I mean, Tom could easily win it, but I'm going Washington with the upset.
Brady's career numbers are right in line with with his entire career.
All right,
Yeah.
Kevin.
They're not any
Washington-
worse. I
Washington.
think it's a misconception.
Washington or Tampa?
I'm going to say Washington. The reason I say Washington is because, yes, you have Bruce Arians and Tom Brady that have the playoff experience. You have playoff experience and a Super Bowl experience with Ron Rivera and then Alex Smith. You got to think about it. And they both have Super Bowl experience. Alex Smith didn't play, but Colin Kaepernick did. Think about it. He was on the bench and he was there when the 49ers went to the Super Bowl.
That's like saying Jared Lorenzen had Super Bowl experience.
Well, I'm just saying they both the coach and the player have been there, so they've been in those games. And Alex Smith has been in multiple playoff games with the Chiefs and the 49ers.
But let's also not forget Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette,
Yes,
Antonio
I know.
Brown.
I'm just saying, like
Sue, like
in terms of coaching and
these guys all
quarterback,
have playoff experience. So
yeah. But I feel like Ron Rivera and Alex Smith, with everything they've been through, with all the playoff experience, I feel like they can come together and they can make that team work. And this team is scary when Alex Smith is starting. Like, he brings a whole different personality to this team. And then Chase Young and Montez Sweat on that defensive line really do cause problems. And don't get me wrong, you have Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard in that tight end group. You lose Mike Evans, throw O.J. Howard out there, and that's basically another one. Like, O.J. Howard was a monster at Alabama, and he was more of a wide receiver than a tight end there. Then he came into the NFL,
he's also
and he's been
injured.
that way. O.J. Howard's injured?
Hey,
I
let's
thought he came back.
Since like
let's move over to the West Coast.
Oh,
here.
before? Okay, whatever. I still pick Washington.
Yeah, let's move over to the West Coast here, and let's take a look at this game going on between the Rams and the Seahawks. This is going to be, well, for better or worse, it's a battle for the West Coast, I guess, out here.
Yeah, but I feel like that's another like Browns-Steelers situation. It's a divisional game. It's going to be close, but right now Jared Goff is questionable with that thumb, so I'm going Seattle on that one.
RJ?
My gut says Los Angeles. I don't know why it does. It just does. So for that reason, I'm going Los Angeles. I hope my in-depth analysis helped there.
Michael, we got a 10-6 versus a 12-4, and Washington's traveling north for this game, or LA's traveling north to a decidedly cooler climate. Is that going to have any bearing upon this game, you think?
I know they've already played Seattle twice, so I mean it's not.
It's cold up there now.
They play Seattle, every year, so it's not that as big of a deal. Goff is an X factor, obviously. I think John Walford played well enough last week against Arizona. The Rams at one point in time looked like they were the best team in the NFC. I mean, between the offense running efficiently, maybe not putting up the amazing numbers that they do, but they're also the most conservative team. And that defense was on point. It looked like it was really hitting its stride moving forward. And that defense actually is what won the game against Arizona this past week as well. it's going to be a close one. I picked the Rams originally. I'd like to see the Rams win it. I'm going to go Seattle because Goff is a question mark right now. If Goff is 100% and playing to the level that he played in the middle of the year to the end part of the year before the Jets game, then I think the Rams can upset Seattle. It's probably the one upset that I would feel most confident about.
Kevin Drake.
I already said Seattle.
That's what I thought. Making sure here, Bryce.
Jamal Adams is healthy, guys. This is the biggest no-brainer I think out of the rounds for me. Seattle's got this one in the bag. I mean, without having Goff, it's one thing, and you've always got enough defense there with like Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald and everything for the Rams. But I just see too many capabilities on the offense to score more points, and that's exactly what happened the last time these two teams played. Mid-season Rams, they did look like the best in football, but they don't look that way now, and Seattle's only gotten better. I think Seattle's got this one comfortably.
All right. Jeez, they got this one on lockup. Guys, let's look over here at the world famous Chicago Bears. And they're going to be squaring off against New Orleans here. This is going to be interesting. And they're traveling down to Louisiana for this game. So this is going to be an interesting matchup here. I want Kevin, what are your thoughts?
You sound like NFL Network trying to hype up a game that no one cares about.
Exactly. Kevin, your thoughts?
The Saints are going to rickroll the hell out of Chicago.
Rickroll, you say?
Yes.
All right. Well, hey.
I don't trust Mitchell Trubisky.
Okay. Rickroll. Never gonna give you up. Bryce, your thoughts?
When I look at the Saints, the big thing that made this game close, because this was a game that went into overtime earlier this year. It was a 26-23 victory for the Saints. But that was with Nick Foles at quarterback. And that was with this Bears rushing attack being a little bit fresher as they were really starting to get in their groove with what Nick Foles was able to provide them that Mitchell Trubisky can't. And so when I look at the Saints side, I think the Saints need to be aware. They've got to be mentally aware for this game to not let this be a trap game. I mean, they're going to be looking at what's most likely Seattle next time up, as the top three teams of this NFC have really kind of distanced themselves from everybody else. But as they go on, this is a trap game for them where they've got to be involved. I wouldn't be surprised to see a very healthy Taysom Hill amount here, not because of the gimmicks, but to try to give a little bit more rest for Drew Brees as he comes back from an injury. Mm-hmm. And I would think that you would see a lot more of some of the other rushing attacks that you would get, not just Kamara, but the depth there with Murray and everything. I would think that they would be enough to beat this Bears team that looked like they were going good. I like what they've been able to do ever since Lazer's been taking over with play calls, but I just think that this is too solid of a matchup for the Saints to let this one get away unless they let it get away from them mentally.
RJ?
Yeah, I don't think this. It's like I'm going Saints not because I think they are like a phenomenal team. Mm-hmm. I just think you can't lose to Mitch Trubisky in the playoffs. You just can't. If you do at this point, oh boy, it's not going to look good. I think with Drew Brees being the seasoned veteran that he is, he brings the composure to the field that Mitch Trubisky can only dream of. And Alvin Kamara is coming off a record day, which, okay, side note, he should have had the record, but no, Sean Payton had to tickle his Taysom Hill fetish and give him a play or two instead of giving him the record. Back to topic. Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara. He's nigh unstoppable if you give him any room. So, like you said, I'm going with Bryce here. The only way Chicago wins is it's a self-destruction on New Orleans' part. So I'm going Saints.
All right, Michael.
Pop quiz. Does anybody know what the Chicago Bears record is with Mitchell Trubisky as the starter?
It's like something like a 540 winning percentage, but I don't know what the exact numbers are.
Yeah.
For 2020.
Oh, for 2020. Isn't it something like Alex Smith?
It is very close. He
Yeah.
is, I believe the stat I saw, he is 6-2 as their
Yeah,
starter.
he's basically saving Matt Nagy's
So out of their
job.
out of their 8 wins, he has 6 of them. So we're sitting here talking about how bad Mitchell Trubisky is. Nick Foles is absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
The
I didn't say
offense,
he was bad. I just said I don't trust him.
they were undefeated when they benched Trubisky for Foles, and Trubisky played poor in the third game that he was benched in. But they are 6-2 under, I believe, is 6-2 underneath Trubisky as a starter, if I remember correctly.
All right.
With that being said, outside of Week 17, Trubisky looked like he was one of the best quarterbacks in football. Weeks 14, 15, and 16, he was on fire. David Montgomery was running lights out.
Yeah.
This Chicago's Bears team is a lot more dangerous than I think people remember because it is Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. I'm not saying Trubisky's going to go into New Orleans and light the world on fire. I'm saying that his record as a starting quarterback is significantly better than Foles.
Yes.
Foles is terrible. Foles should have had no reason starting in Chicago at all. Absolutely dreadful. It was a one decision that might have ruined Matt Nagy as far as the head coach was concerned.
And that's what Mitchell Trubisky's doing. He's saving
Mitchell
his
Trubisky
job.
has basically saved Matt Nagy's job.
Yeah.
That's the irony behind all of this. With that said, I think New Orleans wants this. After
All right, so I got a pop quiz for you, Michael, real quick, if you
Yeah, what's up?
if you want to go along with that. What team had the best record that Mitchell Trubisky beat?
I'm not. Oh, by any means, I'm not saying that he went around and beat anybody with a fantastic record by any means. I'm saying that the Bears, if you take a look at after they benched Trubisky, they went on a huge losing streak. This team looked like one of the worst teams in football.
And so, but that's the thing.
So
the Lions have the best record that
well, hey.
got beat by. So it's bad. And
So
it's
so
not
Trubisky
good.
has so Trubisky has a record against bad teams like Pittsburgh has a record against bad teams. I get it.
No, and I agree with that too. But like, they're not playing the Saints this round. They're playing Cleveland.
Right, and I'm not picking the Bears. I'm not picking the Bears. I'm just saying that this team is a lot better with Bill Lazor play calling. Trubisky has played a lot better. He's looked a lot better. Yeah, it's probably against, subpar competition as far as that's concerned. I understand all that. And David Montgomery has all of a sudden turned into what resembles an NFL running back, which nobody ever saw coming. It's just that it's easy to get lost as a starter for Trubisky because it is Trubisky. But with that being said, I think the Saints are hungry. With what's happened the last 3 years in the playoffs, between 2 losses to Minnesota and then the loss to the Rams. Was that game the pass PI game? I think that Breeze knows this is his last run. I think Sean Payton knows this is his last run, and I don't expect this game to be close. Honestly, I mean, if there's any team that I think we can all agree that don't belong here, it's the Bears.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have the Washington football team in there.
There we go. There we go. There you have it. There you have it, folks. Let's look at this. According to those here at the Alternative Football News Network, AFN Talk, all over social media with that funky little @ symbol. That's a shifted 2 on your keyboard. For those of you out there who don't know how to type, a little public service announcement there on behalf of the Alternative Football News Network. The way it's looking, this is the way the playoffs are going to come out after the wild card games. According to our panel here, the Ravens, the Browns, and Buffalo will all manage to acquire a move on in this playoff tournament.
Were you the tiebreaker?
No. That would have been Mr. Mark Angst.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, Mark was our tiebreaker.
Right.
That's why I haven't been mentioning him. So Mark went with the Ravens. He decided the Browns would be a winner. Buffalo got a clean sweep. So this may be the team to look out for going into the final there. We've got over on the NFC side, we're looking at Washington, Seattle, and of course the Saints with another clean sweep.
Did Bryce pick Washington?
Bryce?
No,
You picked Tampa Bay, didn't you?
I picked Tampa Bay.
I was gonna say.
Okay. Oh,
Mark didn't pick Washington.
My bad. Tampa. Hey,
I
I'm
bet-
sitting here
wasn't I
trying to
the only
manage
one?
30
Or
things
did
at once.
RJ
RJ
pick him too?
RJ picked
Oh, okay.
Washington too.
Yeah,
Yeah, the only thing we
30
agree
things
on.
I'm trying to pick up here. So we'll revise this. We've got Tampa, Seattle, and the Saints coming out over in the NFC. Seahawks and Rams are splitting it pretty much here with a tiebreaker cast, so it's pretty interesting, folks. Gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for being on tonight. Oh, before that,
My apologies, Bryce, for cutting you off.
I wanted to say something here to the listeners and the viewers out there. We're looking forward to another year with you guys out here. We got a lot to look forward to. Right now, we got the NFL playoffs going on, and we can have fun with this while it lasts. But hopefully, starting this spring, we will start seeing some more NAL and IFL football play going on. We will see indoor and arena games happening. We can hope for that right now. The way things are looking, if everything goes well, we should be able to have these games and be able to talk about these leagues this year. And that's a bright spot because I, for one, am dying to watch an NAL game. I will figure out where to watch it at, but I want to watch some NAL football. I miss it, and I fell in love with it last year, or not last year, but the year before, and then we had a season taken from us. So I'm dying for more indoor and arena action. But until then, we're going to continue to cover the playoffs for you. We'll look at the Super Bowl. We'll do a lot of things here coming up to January and into Super Bowl Sunday here on the Alternative Football News Network, AFN Talk. We got Bryce Birch here. Bryce, you want to give out your social media, let people know how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can find me at that Bryce Burge. Bryce spelled with an I on Twitter. You can also follow my work with WQXO Munising through the Rome Media Facebook page. Rome like wandering, not Rome like the city.
Okay. Michael?
You can find me on Twitter at MW77. 77 is actually spelled out. You can find me on Facebook at Michael Washington. We also do Mark Onks and I do for all you Dynasty and Devi fantasy football players out there, we do a podcast weekly that can be found on Buzzsprout or Spotify as well. And that hashtag is at Dynasty Academy. The E is a 3 on Twitter. And IFL Power Rankings is going to be a tough one for me. I'm going to have to really do a lot of research this year.
That is like very interesting. Very interesting. Lord. It's been interesting, guys. Kevin?
If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at KDKevinDrake1. And then if you want to follow me over on Instagram, it is KevinDrake32. Just remember, it is nothing to do with football.
Nothing.
It's just
Yeah.
him with like half shirt on pics.
Softcore porn.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, no, if you want to check it out, I post a lot of workout content now. Just for what I've been
It's the
doing.
closest thing to his OnlyFans page, yes.
Yes.
Now that you mention that, follow me. No, never mind.
$19.95 a month, and he will send you video of him working out.
It's nice to see. Get up at 5:30 in the morning, bedhead and all, working out.
No one wants to see that.
He just,
we know.
I have to
just start
take
your
off
own
the hat from the
YouTube
high
channel,
school.
man. Go on Twitch. Oh.
But yeah, that's where you can find me. Other than that, I'm
My
just
bad.
around.
RJ, besides underneath the ugliest hat in the entire NFL.
Well, neither you too. You
You
can
can't
find me on
even see the
Instagram.
symbol on it. It's just gleaming with light.
That's his whatever seeping from his head, causing that back glow.
All right. Anyway, you can find me on Instagram at RJ_Ciencio. You can find me on Twitter at CiencioRJ, and of course, Facebook at RJ Ciencio. I know. It's shocking.
How ordinary.
Wow.
How ordinary. Oh, gentlemen, thank you for everything. It's going to be an interesting playoff season. I'm tired here in Akron, Ohio. It's been a long day. This is the Alternative Football News Network, AFN Talk. We should have ended on a different game. The Saints and the Bears. That's just depressing to go out on something like that. It's
You
terrible.
can do Super
It's
Bowl winners.
but it's the Nickelodeon game.
Yeah.
We ended on the
Yeah.
Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
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 Oh,
It's,
well, they picked a bad one. Nobody wants to see it, so nobody's gonna know. I'm not gonna tune in to Nick just to see that.
Nickelodeon.
Oh my God. They got to do
You're welcome.
something to jazz it up. Here's to a SpongeBob halftime show. Everybody have a great 2021, and we'll be back here next Thursday night at 8 o'clock right on Facebook Live. And check out our website at afntalk.com. We've done a lot of work over there. There's a live audio stream over there for you folks to listen to. So check it out and enjoy. Everybody out there, have a great night. Peace.